Hi, it's Craig here. I recently did a talk for a wonderful charity called Work Avenue, and it was about the business of online retail. I did a talk for them, and basically I went through some very key aspects on building a successful e-commerce store, but I feel I may have missed a few things here and there. So what I thought I'd do is I'll go through the video so you can see the initial video, but also I will add some extra commentary on the video for you to see, well, I don't know if I've missed anything, if there's anything I can think of right now that's kind of cool. It is a Friday afternoon, so bear with me, I'm a bit tired, but should we check it out? Let's
go. I am delighted to introduce Craig Hartz, who is also a WeHub member. He has an office downstairs and has been a great supporter of everything. Well, a great I call him an e-commerce pioneer.
She's being very kind here. I'm really not a pioneer.
I'm going to let him do his own introduction, but I feel he has been in the world of e-commerce.
Am I going red? I'm feeling a bit bashful.
For many, many years, and is a perfect person to introduce this session and to start this event. So Craig, over to you.
Yeah, so really today in my session I just want to talk about 4 parts of e-commerce, and they're the crux of e-commerce. Obviously the first part is picking your niche in your product. So, what are you going to sell? The second part is what sales channel are you going to use for that? So are you going to have your own store, either on Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, or are you going to do it via marketplaces? Then we're talking about conversion optimization, which ultimately is about getting more people to convert, increasing your average order value, which is AOV. So
can I just say here that conversion optimization is the most important thing, really, because as I mentioned in this video, traffic is never a problem. You can buy traffic, but if Google's sending you 100 high intent clicks through from a Google shopping ad and no one's purchasing anything, well, that's not a traffic problem, that's a you problem. So I think I may cover this in a bit more detail in the video.
Having people buy more from you through cross-sells and upsells, and then traffic, which is the big thing. You have a store, that they say build it and they will come. Well, that's not true. You have to drive traffic. And finally, which is really a huge part of e-commerce, which a lot of people don't focus on, is repeat customers. So you spent all this money to acquire your customer. How do you then get them to buy more and more often, which really increases the profits of your company? So shall we start off with picking your product or niche then?
Okay, so basically I'm about to start about how to pick your product and niches.
Ultimately, we want something that really sells for over £100. Maybe we could go down to £50 if there's less competition, but you want something that you're actually going to make money with. And the reason I say that is that we sell mugs, we sell furniture. We have to sell one piece of furniture to make the same profits as 100 mugs. So we prefer and for the same amount of work. So we would rather focus on high ticket items. You also want to make sure that when you pick your item, you really want to think, well, is it for the kind?
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify and add to that part about product, because all the time I get people asking me, what product should I launch? What niche should I go in? Should I do a general store? Should I do a niche store, a sub niche store? So a sub niche store is not a yoga store, but a yoga for women that have just given birth. So that is in the last 3 months, sub store. And the thing is that ultimately you need to become an authority in your field, okay? With the likes of Amazon, it's very difficult to compete, especially compete on price. So the way you do that is you create content along with your e-commerce strategy, which people call content commerce. So it's very, very important when you pick your niche. Now, it doesn't have to be necessarily something that you're interested in, but because you can always get other spokesperson in order to talk about the product. But we really want it to be a relatively high ticket item. With Google Shopping ads, for example, it's very intent-based traffic. So if somebody's typing in guitar mug as opposed to guitar Les Paul, for example, the guitar Les Paul, it's all intent. It's the same as a guitar mug, right? So whilst the CPC might be a bit higher with higher ticket items, doing the work and getting this traffic over it makes it really worth doing a high ticket item. You want profit, and I can tell you we've sold tens of thousands of mugs. Okay, you get problems when they break in the post. It's a low ticket item. Oh, you get issues with customers, and what you're doing it for, you're making £3 or $3 a mug. So, and then you got returns. You've got to add that factor that in as well. So I really do recommend going for a product which is approximately over £100 or $100. Back to the video.
Middle class niche, because those people, they don't mind spending more. Price isn't an issue per se, so they're not necessarily trying to find the cheapest price all the time. And actually, they seem to be less, dare I say, problem customers when it comes to customer service. In our experience, when you sell a mug and you make...
What I'm basically saying here is you don't want bargain hunters. That's what it boils down to. Avoid bargain hunters. They're very price sensitive. They'll see it cheaper elsewhere. They'll then message you back saying, I saw it cheaper. Can you refund me the difference? So go for people that aren't as price sensitive is my point here.
Is the product over £100? And how do you find these products? Just look in magazines. Look on wayfair.com if you're into kind of the furniture thing. If you look in a magazine, you'll see, there's the most crazy niches. You've got lighting, rugs, bunk beds, all these kind of products that you can sell. Okay, and they're all over over £100, which is a high ticket item. So the next thing you have...
I'm going to stop it there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go into my screen and I'm going to show you what I mean. We'll look at some magazines and you'll see there are so many different types of niches that you can really drill into of high value items. So let's go and have a look at this now. Okay, so I've come on to Country Living, which is Mrs. Ecom's favourite magazine, and we like a bit of country living. But look at here, so you've got an advert. Look at all the potential niches that you could do. We've got curtains, we've got these half blinds, we've got bedroom chairs, pillows, rugs, duvet covers, what they call these, fashion pillows, bed pillows, side cabinets, side lights. We've got vases. So if you look at literally any magazine, you will find niches. Bar stools. We have a bar stool brand. What have we got here? Throws. These indoor style. I don't know what they were. They were like indoor style plants. Bigger lamps. These strange niche headboards. So you can see there are just literally go into your local newsagent convenience store and browse through some magazines, and there are just so many ideas for niches. Let's see what else we've got. We've covered bedrooms. Let's see what we've got here. Again, we've got lamps. Oh look, wallpaper, patterned wallpaper. That's a great niche. Look, patterned wallpaper. Wow, that's a really cool one. So you get my point. Just go through a magazine and you can see all the different types of niches that you could potentially go into. Okay, I hope that helped. Let's carry on with the presentation.
Have to do is you've got to think, where's any brand loyalty when it comes to the product? Is there any point in you starting a camera brand? Well, no, because you've got Canon and those sort of Sony cameras. It wouldn't work. Would you want to start a tablet brand? No, because you're up against Apple. So the question you've got to ask yourself is there any brand loyalty? So let's use light fixtures as another example. There's no real brand loyalty when it comes to lighting. People will see a nice light that they like or a lamp and they'll buy it. So it's really important that you stand a chance and you're not up against the real big boys. The next part is...
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just there's no point really going after things that have... somebody walking past my office with very clumpy shoes. There's no point going after products where there's brand loyalty, because you can't compete, okay? So you want to go after products with a reduced level of brand loyalty.
Seasonality. So you don't want to be selling Christmas trees.
I say so a lot.
You don't want to be selling gardening furniture in November if you're in England. So you don't want to get too caught up in seasonality. You want to make sure that you're getting sales throughout the year. You don't just have one boom period and then it's quiet for the rest of the time. And you can look at things like Google Trends. If you go to Google Trends and you type in your idea, so for example, okay, well, let's use lighting as an example. You type in lighting into Google Trends, you put it into the UK, if you're a UK market, and you'll see the trends. Now, if you see like a big spike in a certain time period, that's no good. If you see little spikes that are like this, I'm going the wrong way, then that's good, okay? So you want to look at seasonality as well.
Okay, so here we are in Google Trends. First things first, you can select which country you want at the top. So obviously I'm in the UK, so I've selected United Kingdom, but if you're marketing to America, you select United States. Let's type in the obvious one, Christmas tree, okay? And see what comes up. So if we type in Christmas tree, we can see right here that the interest, let's put the last 5 years. It gives us an overview of the last 5 years. And look at all these spikes. This is clearly a seasonal product. Of course it is, Christmas trees. So you don't want to be selling this unless you're actually in the Christmas tree market, I guess. Or you're happy making loads of money in November, December, and then literally going on holiday and chilling out on the beach for the rest of the year. Now let's look at another example, wallpaper. So wallpaper, as we can see here, look, that's pretty okay, consistent throughout the year. I don't know why there's a massive spike. Maybe, I don't know, there was like a Kim Kardashian or Kyle Jenner or I don't know, some other massive influencer talking about certain wallpaper in September 20 to 26, 2020. So I don't know why there's a big spike, but that's pretty consistent. Let's think of another example. What should we use here? Headboards. One last example, headboards. So if we type in, look, that's also pretty consistent. So obviously there are peaks and troughs. So look, January, what's this? This is a trough in April. When's this one? December. So this is not really consistent. So I would say this is perfectly fine. Look, really good search volume, pretty much throughout the whole year. Over the last 5 years, you can see that's pretty consistent. Of course, what you can also do is you can click here and go to Google Shopping, which also you can see the Google Shopping, people that actually go into Google Shopping and type in headboards. You can see again, pretty consistent. So that's how you use Google Trends, just to make sure in terms of seasonality that the product or the niche that you pick, you know, people will be buying throughout the whole year rather than like Christmas trees in November. Right, did that help? So let's go on. I'm about to talk about demand
for your product. Well, there's no point going too niche that there's only like 10 search terms a month, because you're not going to sell many products unless you're in a huge, like we're selling, I don't know, cars or something like that. So what we do is we like to have a minimum search term of around 10,000 a month. So you know there's decent search term. You know if you can start ranking for it on Google Shopping, you're going to drive traffic to your store. So 10,000 a month. And the way you can look is you can go to Google Keyword Planner. It's a free tool. You do have to enter your credit card details because it's an advertising platform, but you don't have to launch any ads. So whilst you do have to add your details, you can use Google Keyword Planner as a free tool to see the sort of search volume for the different type of product that you want to potentially go into. So you've done all this, you've got a list of say 10 products. So I would encourage you to literally write a list. So you want to have
I'm going to stop really quickly. Stop, Craig. Shush. Craig, shush. You're talking too much. Right. So let's go in to Google Keyword Planner and I'll show you how to do this and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Let's go. Okay, so I'm in Google Keyword Planner, and as you can see again, you've got the location here. I'm in the United Kingdom. So let me just quickly check United States. Let's remove United Kingdom. Right, so let me type in now wallpaper. So we type into wallpaper, so click get results, it will show us the amount of keywords. So you can see here monthly search term for keywords is 1 to 10 million. Obviously that's huge. But what you really want to look at for ideas is other keywords also with low volume. Now look at here, aesthetic wallpaper, huge monthly searches, low volume. So that could be something you could target. Aesthetic wallpaper, cool wallpapers 4K. So this is really cool, although I think that actually could be for the computer, I'm not sure. Anime wallpaper, cute wallpapers, wallpaper engine. Let's have a look what else there is. So I'm going to click here. Let's see what comes up. So basically I'm searching from top to bottom. So cute wallpapers, Christmas wallpaper, Among Us wallpaper, blue wallpaper, Halloween wallpaper. So you can see there's lots of ideas, and here is the average search volume, and here is the competition. This competition is more from a pay-per-click perspective, but you know, you can look at it. Nature wallpaper, that was a good one I just saw. Right, let's have a look at headboards. Let's go back here. Headboards. Get results. Let's see what comes up. Here we go. Headboards, huge searches. Queen headboard, king size headboard, upholstered headboard, that could be a good one. Upholstered headboards, tuft headboard, I don't know what that means, but you can Google it. White headboards, you have a site of just white headboards. Wooden headboards, there's a good one, good search volume. So you get my point, you can look at different ideas in Google Keyword Planner and get an idea for search volume. Okay, so I hope you found that part interesting. Let's carry on the presentation.
Loyalty, is it over £100? Then you've got tick, 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 tick. So you're pre-qualifying the product. The next is there a supplier? So what do? You've got to find yourself a good supplier, right? So you've got the two options here. You've got buying stock yourself, which obviously you need to house the stock, you need to post the stock, you need to buy the stock, so your money's tied up in that. Or you can do drop shipping. So drop shipping is literally when the supplier or the distributor ships the product to your customers directly with your packaging and your branding, and you never have to touch the product, you never have to house the product, you don't have to buy the product. But bear in mind there's a premium for that, because you know it's not going to be as cheap as if you bought 1,000 items. So you have to bear that in mind when we talk about margins. So you've got those processes in terms of finding your product, and now the last thing you can do if it's a kind of unique product is evaluate your product.
Okay, before I go on to evaluation, so did you get that? Step number one is you want to find your product or niche. Okay, and you have to, I'm about to go into some ideas on how to evaluate that. You do that by checking that it's non-seasonal, you've got a high price point or a mid-ticket price point, there's search traffic for it, and you can find a supplier. Okay, so they're the main points. Now I'm going to talk about a little evaluation hack that a friend of mine did, which actually stopped us from launching this product. Let's have a look.
So what I mean by that, I'll give you a little story. So another guy that actually works here at Work Hub.
His name is Avi. Avi, if you're watching, hello pal.
So he and I were going to sell an item. I won't go into details of the item on Amazon, and we were going to drive a lot of Facebook traffic. And I said to him, look, just before we commit to buying these, getting them manufactured and sent over, let's do a £20 ad on Facebook with who we think is our target demographic, and let's ask them what they think of this product. What are their thoughts? So we did it, and to our amazement and delight, we never went ahead with the product because they thought of some ideas that we never thought of as to why people wouldn't use this product. So it's really important for £20 you can do a market research ad.
Oh my god, I can't believe I was like wiping my nose live on camera. It's so
on
embarrassing.
Facebook, and you can get so much information. You can even ask them, like, assume that the product is evaluated. You can say, well, what would you pay for this, or would you pay X amount? So use those channels like Facebook to your advantage in terms of your market research and evaluate.
By the way, the office light went off all of a sudden. That's why the light changed.
The product. So that is kind of like
don't work with animals, children, and me.
No, I've rushed through it really quickly, but I've actually launched a little YouTube channel where I'll send Joe and Kim the link so you can see it and you can watch over it again. But that is the first part, which is basically finding your product or niche.
Promo time. Okay, so I started a little blog called hartzbrands.com, HARTZ brands, brands.com. It's the same channel name on YouTube. I have a few videos up. This will be another one that's going to be going up there, so check it out. Right, what are you talking about now, Craig?
Are there any questions?
Question time. Just going back to that point I was making about finding out whether people actually want your product. There are so many things you can do with this. You can research price points. You can research who the product could be for. You can research, does anyone even want the product? Would you wear this? Would you buy this? How much would you pay for this? What other products do you think would be good with this? You know, in case you want to cross-sell or upsell. So there's a lot you can do. And people love giving their opinions. So why not use Facebook and gather opinions? I mean, for such a low price, sometimes it's the best quality market research that you can get. Okay.
Unless anyone wants to ask any questions at this stage. Anyone want to put anything in the chat now for Craig?
That's Kim, by the way.
Oh, what do you sell? We've got, which I think I'm sure you're going to get to.
Everyone always wants to know what I sell. Focus on what you're going to sell, not what I sell.
We sell outdoors products, apparel products, furniture products, all sorts. We sell some weird and wacky things.
So Judith has said none of this is applicable for items that I make, but I mean, well, it might well be.
It is applicable.
You're wrong, Judith. It is applicable. I was very polite here.
For items you make. If people are going to go online and buy the product, it's applicable. With the items that you make, finding your product or niche, maybe that part isn't so applicable, but you can certainly do some market research on it, potentially. Find other kind of similar products that your customers might like. So let's talk about choosing your sales channel. So obviously you've got your own store, or you can choose a marketplace. I know you've got speakers on that later, Amazon, eBay, even Facebook Marketplace.
By the way, I've got a great video and I'll put it up here right now in a card. It is how to make an easy $50, $100 a day using Facebook Marketplace and eBay. It is the easiest method I've ever done in ecom, so check it out. But finish watching this video first, then check it out.
What are the pros and cons? Well, let's talk about marketplaces like eBay and Amazon. Well, you've got your market already there. You've got your audience already there. There are millions of people, however many there are a month, going onto Amazon and eBay and buying things. So you're setting up a market stall in an already established high street, let's say. So you've already got people walking past. The pros there is you don't really have to do much. I mean, you can do PPC, it's another conversation, but you can do, people are going to come and buy your things. You don't have to spend too much money on advertising. You know, if you sell on eBay, all of a sudden you'll get sales.
What I'm really trying to get across here, and I'm mumbling my way through it, is basically, what is your end goal? Because if your end goal is to build a store or a brand to be proud of, then obviously you want it across multiple channels, okay? If it's just literally cash flow, you're not bothered about building up something that you can exit. By exit, I mean selling, then marketplaces are the way to go. I mean, to be fair, you can sell marketplace accounts, like there are people that sell their Amazon accounts. But if it's more of a product that or a brand that you're particularly proud of and a passion project, then I would say eBay and those sort of marketplaces would be the way to go, because you don't have many customer service issues. Obviously, if you go with FBA, they will send the product as well. You've got no shipping issues. So really, it's your decision on what you really want to do.
The cons are you don't own your customers. So eBay and Amazon own your customers. So that means that you can't remarket to them. You can't email.
You don't actually really, in a weird way, own your business. In a kind of weird way, because you're playing in Amazon's house. So if they boot you out their house because you broke the rules, or even if you didn't break the rules, they just don't like your face, then you can't message your customers. What do you do? So it's just food for thought.
you can't WhatsApp them. You're playing in Amazon and eBay's house. So if you do anything wrong, even if you don't do anything wrong, I've heard stories where they can boot you off their platform, and that's your business. So, you've got to be mindful of that. But you could do the two at the same time. You could do your own, you could put your products on a marketplace and have your own store. So let's talk about having your own store now. So having your own store, you can use platforms. We use Shopify, but you can use WooCommerce. You've got Wix, you've got Ecommerce. So you can choose which one is right for you. I would say if you're a beginner or even advanced, we would always go with Shopify. And yes, there are pros and cons of Shopify, but ultimately you don't have to worry about servers. You don't have to worry about the management of it. If something happens to Shopify servers, there are huge brands on there that are going to be complaining a lot more than you, and they get it back up. If you use something like WooCommerce, you have to be responsible for your servers, and so I would say go with Shopify. Now, what are the pros then of having your own store? Like, you own your customers. I mean, that is huge. You can remarket to them. You can email them. You can do whatever you want with them, and you're building an asset for yourself. You're building a little mini brand. You're building an asset, and over time, if you have 100,000 customers, that'll be worth something to someone. So there's a better potential as well to exit your business from that perspective. So we use Shopify. I would recommend it, but ultimately it's up to you where you are in your experience, whether you want to use a marketplace or your own store. Now we have a checklist, which a Shopify checklist when you open your store goes through like everything's like the right shipping information is put in, taxes, etc. Happy to provide that to you. I don't have it on me at the moment, but am I allowed to plug a site?
Of course you are, Craig. Plug.
Yes.
You go to hartzbrands.com, so it's HARTZ brands.com. Just fill in the form, subscribe, and then whoever subscribes, I'll get that out to you at some point in the next few weeks, okay?
In a minute.
So it really helps. So when you're setting up a Shopify store, it'll make sure that it's compliant. You can copy our terms of service, our privacy policies. Just obviously put your details in, so that'll get you going. So you can have a checklist on that. So we've spoken about finding your products. We've spoken about the different sales channels. Now let's talk about conversion optimization a bit. So with conversion optimization, you've got to make sure that, can I repeat? So I just saw a message. Can you repeat?
Don't worry about this. Somebody just put a message on my phone and I couldn't really read it. Ah, brilliant. Hartzbrands.com. I've repeated it. Thank you, Kim, for promoting my hartzbrands.com.
Okay, I'm going to talk about traffic actually.
Hartzbrands.com.
Nicely. So people are worried about getting traffic to their stores, right? You will not have a traffic problem. I promise you, traffic is not an issue. You will not have a traffic problem. What you might have, if you're not selling anything, is a math problem or a conversion problem. So, for example, if you've got 100 high intent people that have come to your store from Google Shopping, so that's intent. They're searching and they're actually looking for a light. Okay, you're not interrupting them like on Facebook. But they go, oh, I like that light from Kim's lighting store. That's really nice. Let's head over there. And 100 people go to Kim's lighting store, not one person buys. That's not a traffic problem. That's a Kim problem, right? So what does that mean? It means, okay.
I'm being a bit harsh on Kim here, aren't I? I'm just using her as an example. I don't think kimlightingstore.com is even a store, to be honest. But if everyone else is selling the same light for £50 and you're selling it £1,000, well, you're never going to sell one. Okay. Does your store load quickly? Are people going to the store and it's just taking like 10 seconds to load? Is it mobile optimized? Site speed is so important, guys. I mean, even for SEO rankings, Google will reward you if your site is super fast, and it doesn't do you any favors if it's super slow. So just bear that in mind as well. If you are using Shopify, the apps that you have live can slow down your store. The theme that you use can slow down your store. So just be aware of that.
Is it working for mobile, which is so important?
Mobile,
okay,
of course.
Have you actually tested that your checkout works? And I've been guilty of that myself, where I'm like, we're getting loads of traffic and we've never sold a product. What's going on? I better check. And I go on and my checkout isn't configured correctly.
Spent a fortune on ads.
And it happens. Is your product photography up to scratch? Do your products look nice? Is your description nice? And it's not.
It's a little hack here. If you use kraken.io, they've got a free web version where you can import images and it will automatically optimize the image, and then obviously you can save that and upload it to your website, your store. Now that is a bit of a hassle if you've got lots of products, but there are apps on Shopify App Store that will do that for you. I'll find some and link to them in the description for you. But if you want to, like, about us images or any of the images on your homepage, use kraken.io to reduce the size, which obviously increases the speed load time.
Just like, I mean, I've got an example of a really bad site, which I can talk about later. You know, Drew Pritchard, if you watch Salvage Hunters, you'll know what I mean, Drew Pritchard, you know.
Drew, if you're watching this, sort your website out, son. It's not doing you any favours. I think it just sounds like Danny Dyer.
Good? Is it catchy? And does your Shopify store look trustworthy? So do you look like a legitimate person? Have you told the story behind your art? Is your About Us page banging brilliantly? Is your homepage brilliant? Is your Contact Us page brilliant? Because people do check on that now. They want to see who they're buying from. If you've got a story behind your brand, tell the story. Video, have a video of you. Welcome to my store. I sell lights. I've been passionate about lights for many years, and blah blah blah. So it's not a traffic problem, it's a conversion problem. When people do come on your store,
by the way, I think I've covered that quite succinctly in this video. Do make time for your personal story and your About Us pages, because in a world where anyone can buy from, well, global marketplace, Amazon especially, these massive conglomerate, these massive stores like Debenhams, or mind you, Debenhams nearly went bust. John Lewis, mind you, they nearly went bust. You get my point. Then you always have to make sure that you can tell a story, and people buy that, and that's why Etsy has been so popular, because you can the stories behind the sellers.
So some little conversion hacks. Make sure that there's no distraction as to what they're coming to buy. So we see this a lot with a lot of e-commerce stores, where they'll have like people that bought this at the bottom, which can work in some aspects, but ultimately you just want one result, and that's them to purchase the add to cart. And then once they've purchased, click the add to cart, not purchase the add to cart, because I don't think you can purchase an add to cart button. You want them to go to checkout and buy. If you have any other fluff around that, it'll distract them. That's all you want. Which brings me to my kind of a really good point, which is post-purchase upsells. So once they've purchased your product, a post-purchase upsell is where you make them an offer that they can't refuse. Okay? So that could be if they've purchased It's a really good opportunity to do my Godfather impression. I'll make them an offer they can't refuse. 50 grams of coffee, you can offer them an upsell like a 75 grams of coffee. I really hope I can edit this video. Well, if they purchase coffee, maybe they're like a mug or a cafetiere with it. So that's what the difference between upsells and cross sells. But what happens with post-purchase upsells? And there are apps on Shopify that help. It's Cart Hook, Zipify. There's a few others that have come on the market. I'll list them in the description. There are a few that have come on the market. I think Bold Apps have one as well now. Yeah. If they click the button, they don't have to enter their credit card details again. So it's automatically, it's like Amazon's one-click upsell, or one-click purchase. They press the button and then it rebuilds them. So it removes all the hassle of adding their credit card details in. So post-purchase upsells are really important. Am I going too quickly? Right. You've been watching this video for 32 minutes or so. You've had enough, right? So what I'm doing is I'm going to split this up into two parts. Part 1, which will be this part, and part 2, which will be the next part. So I'll see you on the next part. I'll put it as a card right now. If you click here, you can link to part 2 of this video, okay? See you there.